Everybody, welcome. Steven and Dawn and John and Tara and anybody else on the stream. Welcome to the show. Oh, that's cool. That's not what I wanted to do. Let's see. There we go. Aloha. Good evening, Carmen and Scott. How's it going? Well, I guess I actually started just a minute early. Surprise! For all the times I start in the morning late, I start 5 o'clock early. And welcome to the show. It's kind of a cool picture right there, generated by AI. So we've got the non-farm jobs report coming up on Friday. Unemployment rate also. We'll see what happens. I think the numbers are going to keep being good despite all this craziness. Elon coming out today against Trump. Like that, I've seen that headline 900 times. Elon talking smack about how pork filled the big, bold, beautiful bull shirt bill is. And I don't see how, I guess, do the numbers one way, the deficit goes up. Do the numbers another way, the deficit goes up higher. I don't see how any, big, bold, beautiful, anything that's supposed to help us that raises the debt further is actually helpful. I don't know. We all have our opinion. Opinions are like, body parts. We all got them. All trading involves a substantial risk of loss, and past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. That means there's substantial risk in what we do, and I make predictions. I've gotten it right quite a bit in the past. It's what's got me where I am today. But I might never get another one right again. This presentation intended to be informational, educational, fun, entertaining, not a recommendation to be buying or selling anything, including stuff from gurus like me, because, most of us are full of crap. And if you don't trust me, don't buy something. But while you're at it, don't buy stocks, don't buy options, don't buy Forex, don't buy futures, don't buy cryptos, don't buy treasuries, don't buy bonds, don't long them, don't short them, don't trade them. You might lose money. If you want somebody to just tell you what buttons to push, hire and consult a financial advisor. That's what they're there for, to keep your risk in check if you don't know how to do it yourself. And right there, Friday, it's kind of the non-farm employment change. And it's that jobs report. We'll see the average hourly earnings and all that good stuff. We'll get the how many full-time jobs did we add or lose? We've been losing them like crazy. How many part-time jobs did we add or lose? We've been adding those like crazy. How many U.S.-born workers versus federal-born or versus foreign-born workers are in the workforce? All in that unemployment rate. If you didn't know, we get all that stuff every month. It's kind of interesting, but how does it help you make money? Here's the secret. It doesn't. It doesn't. But sometimes it's the catalyst for the market moving. So that's just one of those, whatever. Yet another economic news item. The market may wait for it. The market may start moving before we get there. Now, there's been a whole big discussion going on in Discord today about me being somewhat bearish. So let's kind of break it down, shall we? Who thinks that's kind of sounds like an interesting idea? Let's go over here. Let's grab this. Let's go to the S&P. Let's pull this down out of the way. Clear these up. Wow, 99 alerts today. Whew. So here's what we've got cooking. And this is why let's just start with a clean slate here. We don't even really need the market roadmap line because we went down and hit it on a 3-day chart. So we don't even really need that. I mean, actually it's a weekly chart, excuse me. We went down and hit it on a weekly chart. All right. Now, this is on a weekly time frame. Dun, 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 dun. Just pop over here and on a weekly time frame, Let's just kind of check this out. And I guess we can turn back on the roadmap line to demonstrate here. The last time we hit the weekly roadmap line was right back here. And when we came up off of it, we retraced and we came up some more. Shy of the breakout, and we retraced some more. And then we went on this big, nice big rip. Right there. Likely, this move right here is the 4. This is why I'm still somewhat bullish. This is likely the 4 to go with the 2 all the way back here. Or, you know, maybe this one. I don't know which one it is. One of these two right here. One of these two. Now, the time it took to go down and the time it took to come back, you can see that kind of relative move. This was a fast move. Pretty fast retrace. And so far, that's not typical of a 4. Right? Usually this would be a little more drawn out. Now, it could be all a 4. We might get a pullback that holds a higher low, and that proves that we're done. So this is what I'm kind of keeping an eye on here. This potentially was the wave 1 up, the 2, the 3, this being the 4 that does not overlap the 1, and we're looking for a 5th move up. This is why I'm generally, when I talk about I'm generally bullish. Like, my positioning is still bullish. I'm still looking for this higher high, probably not above 7,000, probably in this 6,600 zone when we come out of this. Now, this swiftness of this move up, we've got to digest it a little bit, okay? This pullback took a lot longer. This pullback was pretty swift, right? That's not typical. We don't usually just see one big fast move on a 4. All right, that's just not typical. Could it be the way it is? Sure, could be. Now, we do typically hit the roadmap line on a 2. We got close, but didn't quite hit it there. And a 4. We did hit it there. Well, that's interesting. Maybe this is the 2 and this is the 4. And this was an intermediate piece that went in here. The proportions are messed up if that's the 2 for an internal for the 3. Just kind of the way it is. Now, could be that this was a running 4. Like this was the 2. This was a running 4. 1, 8. Unusual, but when we get super bullish times, so this would have been the 1, 2, and of the bigger 3 that came all the way up here. And this would be the 1, 2, 3. That was the 4 that stopped right there. And this was the 5. And then this is a bigger 4 that goes with this. These two go together. This 2 and this 4. And this 2 and this 4. These go together. All right, which way would it be? That's, you can spend a lot of time doing this. All right, this gets really in the weeds. This is what I talk about when do you want to be an analyst or you just want to make money. Now, the reason I've been super cautious and getting down further and further in the weeds here, this is where the roadmap line won't really matter, and I keep turning on things instead of off things. There we go. Let me show you. This comes down to proportions of the move up off the low. Got the log mode on. I'm going to grab the 3-point tool here. This move up, very swift. Basically 3 came up, we came down, and we came up. That's basically an ABC. Then we did a B, C. Okay, this is not, the initial start here is not overly bullish. You'd be like, well, I don't really see what you mean on that time frame. Let's just pull it back here where we get more candles here. What I'm talking about is this move right here, that move, and that move. That was the first move up right there. Typically, we don't do a wave one in 3 moves. That's not typical what happens. And then we did a move down, a move up, and a move down. So that looks more like that was an A wave that topped out right here. Then this looks more like a B wave that bottomed out right here. We got 3 up and 3 down to a higher low. Looks like an A wave and a B wave. All right, this is why I'm kind of very cautious about where we're topping out right now. We're going to build on this. Jump back to the current. So that move up, the first move up that was the A wave right here. The retrace, the B wave, potential right here. Put some labels on these so we can keep track of where we're at, as we say down here in the south. There's the A, here's the B, and then we're going to put the C up here for now. We'll get to that in a second. Everybody with me so far? Kind of getting it. So this is this A wave. When you look down inside the 1 hour chart, 3 wave structure. This move right here, you look down to that 1 hour, you can really see it right here even. 3 wave structure. 3 up, 3 down. That automatically sets my brain to a corrective structure. All right. Now the proportion, this is where it gets into more of the proof on the pudding. All right. Usually when we're doing bullish things, when we're doing a 1, 2, 3, when we're doing a 1, a 2, and we get the 3, these proportions right here, usually we see a 618 retrace, measured bounce, if you will. And then when we run the fib tool like this, we typically get up into the vicinity of the 1618, if not hit the 1618. And this has to be made up of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Typically this move is impulsive with 5 waves. This is a 3 wave correction. Let's move right here. 5 waves, 5 up, 3 down, 5 up. Then we get the 3 down, and then another final 5 up. That's usually about the same size as that wave. And that's the top of the move. Now, this being 3 waves already nixes that. 3 down, that's plausible, right? So we need to run a fib tool off that low, that high. We got in the vicinity, but that wave 2s and wave Bs, they both do the same kind of proportions. All right. That's no super clarity. The 3 wave is the tell that this might be an A wave. The proportion supports being a B wave or a wave 2. Now, remember what I said about that wave 3? We would typically come up here. Right there. That's 1.618 times the first move up off the low. That's where that number comes from right there. We are stopping right here, which is more typical so far of an ABC. So we already have the start of this thing starting out like an ABC. We're topping out right here, even with the higher high today, in the vicinity of an ABC. And I mentioned, I don't know if it was last week or week before last, that we might need to hit that 1272 before we roll over. That's looking like maybe what we're got to do. Now, somebody was like, well, this looks bullish. Well, C waves and wave threes are both very powerful moves up. And that's what we've seen right here, a very powerful move up. And so far, if we look inside here, we have a potential for this to be a 1, 2, right there. That first move up, that retrace right there. And this being potentially the 4. See how fast that little guy was? One day. This being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days. Much longer, kind of fits. And then potentially this could come on up, hit that 1272. Or if we get a little extra sparky, we could come up here. And then we start blurring the lines between whether this is a wave 3 or a wave C. That's where the ambiguity in this comes from. If we continue to grind this on up here, it starts really pushing the ambiguity here. I would expect this to stop right in here. In reality, maybe not go above, say, 60, 50, but we could come on up to 6100. It's possible. It's possible to come on up to 6170. If we get past 6250, it starts tipping the odds that we're actually working on something more bullish. And that puts us up at all-time highs. More bullish means we're not going back down here. Now, this might top in the next couple of days. There's a potential for this 1, 2, this being 1, this being 2, this being 3, this being 4, and we're working on the little 5. Typically, we would see wave 1 and wave 5 being proportional. Now, we have big gaps in here, so there's missing data. This is where we can go to the futures market and try to pick up a little more clarity on the situation. Once we have the higher high, though, like we have right there today, this brings this back in alignment with this, and they have a very similar topped out potential. So when we dip down in here and start looking at the ES, I don't know what a couple people saying the sound cuts out, but the microphone's right there, and there's nothing else. I mean, I don't know. So we dive in here and look. It's where it gets a little more ambiguous, because we got extra moves on this move up, and we got overlap. So there were extra moves up here. Could be a 5 up ish with some overlap. So that could be a 5. But then this very swift retrace, not really countable. But then we topped up in the same place right there. That's still 3 up. So 5 up here, that could be an A. Still, this could be a B. Still, this could be a C. Still, no changes there. Move down here, 3 up, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That consistent with an A, a B, and a C. That all matches SPX. Matches. Now we get into this next move up here. This is where it gets a little bit muddy. But where the clarity may actually show up here today. Because this looks like the initial move up. Then this looks like another move up. Roman numeral 1. This looks like the 2. This looks like a Roman numeral 2. This looks like, this is where it gets a little tough. Trying to figure it out because then we got some overlap here. But this looks like a potential 3 right in here. The 4 and the 5 potential here. And that's 5 of 3. The 4. And then, was that the 5? Or do we need one more little push up over here to get the 5? So this provides us some clarity that this is potentially topping out right here. And we've been working on this top out, this 4 or 5, which makes sense because wave 4s are very difficult to figure out. We came up in this vicinity starting right back here on the 20th. And now here we are trying to get resolution. So we've been looking at 1 week, 2 weeks, and in maybe a couple days to resolve this. We've been just grinding this area for 2 full weeks since we topped right over here. And as far as this final pop goes, I said we would get some more clarity from the futures market here. This first move up, popped up off of that, still provides us the ability to get an extension a little bit higher. This was a very enthusiastic, strong move up here. Did not retrace even close to a 618. Very, very enthusiastic, very strong. And possibly this was the 1. This was the 2. This was the 3. A 4. And we had an extended 5 over here, which mean that this 5 truncates off of the typical. And we stop just a pop right above where we've already been. This gets in the weeds, as you can tell. I spent a lot of time kind of popping on, trying to do this stuff. I spent a lot of time looking at these. Spent years honing the counts, trying to see, why would I look at this and think it was somewhat bearish? Because I've looked at hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of charts, probably hundreds of thousands when you consider all the time frames. This is a somewhat bearish move that is likely to top out any day now. Right? It seems like people have been leaving it in the dirt, especially if they bought in heavy down here and they're adding now, they're going all in. But it's dangerous. All right. I feel like I would not be, if I was just sitting here going, go long, go long, go long, go long, go long, just telling you to, beating the drum to go long, I feel like I would not be doing you a service right now, because the potential for this thing to make a larger, swift pullback, especially if this is all a corrective wave 1 with a 3-wave move in it, a leading diagonal, if you will, which may even push us down to levels like this. For the 2. If we do this move in a 3-wave type structure, that's 3 up, 3 down, and we're probably going to get a, even this could be an A and a B, and we probably could get a C up. And probably take it, because of how high up we came here, the C is likely to take us to all-time highs. So I want this correction to show up in a three-wave fashion. If it comes down to the typical 50 to 618 place right down in here, we're looking at somewhere in this 5260 to 5380, 52, 5400 zone right here. Somewhere in here. If we make that correction and that bounce, that supports a nice move higher. Now, dropping from 6,000 down to 5,200, that's 800 points down. Why do I tell you to be careful? 800 points down, that's like 13%. That's pretty devastating for most traders that are all in long. This move back here was pretty devastating for a lot of people. A lot of people just stuck their head in the sand. Some people that had cash jumped on it. 13%, that's a pretty big pullback. But it sets us up for the potential for that move right there. I don't know if we can get past 7,000. We may keep the ABC proportions and top out right in here. 6,600 would be almost exactly first move up right off that retrace. Those don't look exactly proportional, but let me adjust the chart just a little bit. Copy, paste. There you go. First move up, retrace. Second move up, 6,600. Just happens to line up right on the money. Yeah, I don't know what, it must be a glitch on YouTube, but my streaming is solid, so I don't know. Sorry about that, everybody. So seems if you reload the page, it helps. There's nothing on my end that is glitching out, so everything's. I have this like little monitor. It says I'm green and good, and I don't know. So that's what I'm looking at. Has anybody got any questions about the way that I see that right now? Now the problem here, the speed of this being a 4, the fact that this was 3 down, 3 up, that has potential for this top right here to set up a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that takes us lower than that low right there. This is the risk breaking down through that support. So I'm focused right now on the next correction, whether it's 3 or 5. 5 can set us up for something bigger and deeper. 3 can set us up for a bounce that takes us to new all-time high. It's in the weeds of Elliott Wave. Some of you like it, some of you don't. Some of you don't care. Some of you, it matters a lot. So I'm looking for a 3-wave that holds this vicinity. It sets us up for new all-time high. If for some reason we get something that looks more like that, then we get a move lower high here. That's the crash setup warning that we're probably going to do something much bigger and deeper. So we do 5 down, 3 up, stop in this vicinity. That's the warning. Then we're going to flush this baby. All right? That's why I've been beating the drum to be careful. An 800-point correction, every day we push it a little higher, we still keep about the same size correction. It's going to be pretty devastating for a lot of people, especially if you're all in long and you have no protection whatsoever. A chart that's much more clear on the bearish side is this one right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. 1, 2, 3 up. The little 1, 2. This has potential to at least get that deep retrace pretty quickly. Could we turn this around here and make a move higher? We could. This is very likely to experience a move down into this zone right there. Now, the reason I don't think this was I think that this may stop here, come back up, because the 618 zone is still sitting up here just a little bit on Russell. 5 down, we're just shy of that 3 up, hitting that 618 level. That could have been close enough. Usually we'll go ahead and hit it. I would expect this to come down and then come back up like this before we make the next bigger move down. Because this took so long, this doesn't seem like it didn't go just straight back up. It took a roundabout's way to get there without a whole lot of extra detail in here. Like that little move up right there doesn't seem like it would be an A wave because we didn't come down and fully hit the 618. It's just not proportional for this to be done there. So it's back into the proportional weeds. Could be done. It just doesn't look like that's it. Like it would look much better if this came back down and then finished it up with a move like this that went a little higher than the 618 and then embarked on the next journey further down. It fits more better time-wise too. More better. This topped out back here in December. This bottoming out here in April. This correction taking 2 months-ish. That could be. We could just go ahead and hit here and roll down. That's possible. Not a very clean 3 up, but corrections aren't typically the cleanest anyway. So that's 5 down, pretty clear. The only problem is the proportion between 2 and 4, not very good on that drop. That's the only problem there. The proportions are good, but the proportions as far as size of move, but the time just doesn't look right. But hey, market can do whatever it wants to do. So, all right. Let's hit a few other markets and then get to what you're here for. Oil. We just keep chopping. I mean, it has just stopped. This looks like we're going to be just going sideways until we either break up or break down. We've seen this in several other charts. Right now, it seems that oil is just not the favorite. It's not the favorite child right now. So we're not seeing it do much. We've got that low from back there in May, and we're kind of stuck under it. And that's May 2023, so May 2 years ago. And we're stuck right here underneath it. Sorry if you want clarity, we don't have it. And this just has that look like we might be working on one more dip. And 1, 2, 1, 2. It's possible this is cooking a reversal with the slight higher low, higher low. Just not the most clear. This one went really deep. This one went pretty typically proportional. But usually when we get the bounce, we get a pretty enthusiastic bounce. Right now, we're just not showing any enthusiasm for getting higher. This is European oil. trying to provide a little clarity to the oil chart over here that seems to be more messy and less clear. This went very deep. This one went very shallow. Look at that move right there. We didn't even get to the 618. So European oil looking more clear that we might be bullish than the CL chart that's not very clear. Gasoline prices made the low back here. Made a big, nice, sloppy move up. Fast, very sharp three-wave retrace here to a higher low. This could be setting up something bullish. This move up, not very clear. Maybe a nested 1-2-1-2. If we're going to be bullish here, I would expect this to go ripping right up like this. Time frame is not really what I'm predicting here much. So could be talking. I don't know what this time frame you're talking about, so I've already covered a bunch of ground. Heating oil. 1, 2, possible 3, 4. Get the overlap. Provides. At that point, that becomes like, what are we doing? This maybe finishing up. Could go for an extension. Could find a bounce right there. The heating oil is diesel fuel, so right now we don't seem to be getting large impact from anything. Looking at this move, we have a potential first move down, the retrace. A second and final move down would put us potentially in this vicinity right here. That would be where, grab the arrow tool, first move down, copy paste, next move down, that high, that low, 618, A, B, C. That looks like a bullish move up, potentially. I don't know why these are decoupled. Bullish move up, retrace, three-wave, big, long. I mean, it started in 2020, topped in 2022. Correction potentially gonna, just kind of extrapolating out here. Looks like it may last into toward the end of the year. Push this on down. Then we could bounce pretty big. When I say pretty big, that move up, that retrace, this could be pushing, setting up a move like this. That'd be pretty wild for a lot of people. $11 a gallon diesel fuel. That'd be pretty rough. Not quite the clarity that we're seeing on this chart. And this chart potentially could bounce, but we could potentially also see this drop back in this area and then set up that bigger bounce, similar to heating oil, diesel fuel. Okay, move up. Cool. Thank you. Move up, retrace. Be looking at basically $10 a gallon gasoline, maybe even $18. That's $10, $11. Oh, yeah. Could be what we're looking at right there. This drops on down, bounces, measured bounce, and shoots us up here. Not a rosy picture, right? Natural gas. Whole different picture. This one doesn't tend to trend. When we look at the big picture, it's a lot of sideways. So we get small time frame moves. And right now, that was the low. Missed my drawing tool. This was the low. This was the move up. This was the retrace. This was the move up. So far, this was the retrace. That high, this low, overlap. That creates no clarity on where we're going. The short term, move up, retrace, potential to make another move higher. Just looking at the little baby moves, we can see this thing push right back into the prior high. That's about all I can offer on natural gas. Natural gas does tend to trend through December, so this could slowly happen through November, December timeframe. Maybe see $5 gas, and then pull back into that April, May typical seasonality. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, here's the seasonality chart out for years. Typically bottom April, May, and spike in November, December. Bottom April, May, spike November, December. And we do that over and over and over. Gold. I have this drawn on the other charts, but here's what we're basically looking at. Move down, retrace, move down. 3-wave down. Potential for this to be, it's very difficult to tell, but this potentially could be 3 up, it could be 5 up. Hard to tell. That move down right there could be the A wave. This, since it's not super clear, we don't have big swings, easily be a B wave. It is topping out in the vicinity of where I would expect a B wave to top out. Time wise, A. This would be very beautiful for it to be a B right here. We ended up turning red today. And then that leaves us with a potential for a C wave down. Something on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'd be looking at that to be roughly proportional to the first move. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, somewhere in that vicinity, possibly extending down to this. That's where my 29 to 3,000, possibly down to 2,800 levels come from. Looking for that correction. And the daily roadmap line just happens to be down here in this vicinity. Right down there. Silver, much less clear. Fast move down, slow retrace, not much subwaves to it. Looks kind of 3-wavy. Got that high right there. We've got this low down here. That was a very swift retrace off of that high. It's been a grind to get back up here. Not very clear. Leaves us without much clarity. Now, very classically, I like to see a nice clean 3-wave retrace, bounce off the roadmap line, and move up a retrace, and that kind of sets us up with this extension that I love to trade because we, very 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, very clear. Nice 1, 2, 3. Bounce off the roadmap line. This is what I'm usually looking for. Even though I don't talk about it all the time. I'm usually looking for a very clean 3 waves. Very clean 5 up. And we hit the target there. And then we retraced 3 waves. Then we did kind of a sloppy 5 up. Then we did a fast retrace that doesn't tell us anything. One big fast drop. It's very hard to glean any information out of that. Fast rip up, chop, and a pop. Hard to glean any information out of this. Clarity would come if we would drop back down and revisit the low one more time. I would feel very confident about jumping in to a long here for a bigger move up. That would provide me with a 1, 2, 3, and a nice solid bottom here around 27. Now, bigger picture on silver. Jumping out to the weekly chart. We've got this high we've established. We've got this low. Nice big retrace. Only 3 up so far. This is where it becomes a little bit ambiguous here. Was this a 5 down, a 3 up, and we get continuation lower? Or do we catch up with gold and actually break up here, possibly even up here, like we have on gold? You can say, well, gold and silver decouple, blah, blah, blah. We had that same kind of move down, same 3 up, that correction, and then we shot off. And we're up here near the, we're approaching 272 levels. That's why another reason why I would expect this to come back down, retest this level. That support's going on up to some higher, possibly much higher levels on gold. Gold is unlikely to do that giant move without some sort of retrace. Copper, a bit more sloppy on what we've been doing. This is starting to try to be bullish here. Now, looking at this, smaller move right here on the daily chart, it does look like it wants to do one more dip. One more dip right back down in here before it can really break out and go. Bitcoin. Let's go with all-time history. It's just sitting here at the retest of the breakout. Sitting right there. It popped up, came back down, and we're just sitting here. I think this would look best if we did this, because this was one big move up without any, like move up, rest, move up, rest, move up, rest. Didn't really retrace at all, and then moved up. The only little pullback we got was right at the beginning, right there. So it would look best if we did a pullback that was a little deeper, and it would also set us up for a much larger upside, potentially to the target. Right up here around 150 to 170. And I get this off the weekly charts. Get this 150 to 170 level based on this pullback right here. 21 into 22 would be right up here at the 1618, 167, right there. Every big pullback we've done in Bitcoin has led to a hit of the 1618 extension every time. Every single one of these big pullbacks we've done in the past has led to the 1618 extension. All the way back from the beginning. I would expect at least that. It's potential we could come on up here. Unlikely we would go any further than 400,000. We've never really gone much higher than a 272. And this one, the one that stopped in 2021 was a 1618. This one back here was a 272. The one before that was a 272. Be like, well, we need to catch up this time. It's possible. But the likely target for Bitcoin would be right there. Ethereum, on the other hand, has not made a higher high yet. In fact, the way this stopped right here with a triple top, moved down in a retrace, kind of scares me that we're setting up for something more sinister to the downside. As we stopped right at the 618 retrace of this drop, right at the roadmap line. This has that kind of opportunity to get flow through to the downside. Something more deep and sinister. Lower low than that right back there, where we bottomed in July of 22. Now, Bitcoin bottomed November of 22, while this one made a higher low. This one went on to not make a higher high, and then has done a very deep retrace and a recovery while to a 618, while Bitcoin is up here making new highs. So, notably different path going on right here. Now, this could bring it back into somewhat of a equality or parity, but right now, this is not the most bullish setup right now. This is actually very scary. If we start breaking down below a 618 right here, can very quickly lead to further downside below the 4-digit numbers. All right. So, are you expecting ES1 to go down before it goes? So before it goes to 6,000, maybe. That's hard to put the finger on exactly. Do we hit 6,000 first? It's very possible. I put that top right there at 6,045. It's very possible we hit 6,000. Now, I don't think, I give it low probability that we make a new all-time high on ES before we pull back. Is it possible? Sure. We're only 200 points away. 200, roughly. 160 plus another 20, 100, 180 points away. We've been able to put 180 points on in a few hours on this move. Could happen. It's possible. Doesn't make the chart bullish. In fact, that increases the odds that we see a bigger downside. Because if we pop up and make a higher high than what we had right back here, it sets up the very real potential that we're doing this topping pattern that we saw right back over here. It's very scary. I remember this very clearly. This correction right here, very similar to what we just did. Big rip up. We did consolidate right here. That's different than what we're doing right now. But then we popped Wrap to a new high. Lasted a couple days. Then a swift retrace. And we set up this. And if anybody remembers this right here, this is eerily similar price action to what we're doing right now. What came next? That was like a 12% correction. Recovered to a new high. And then we went on. Well, it's not going to be right. Reverse that. Those points. We went on to do a 57% correction. You see why I'm scared of what potentially could come out of this? You'd be like, well, that's never happening again. We go shooting right back up here. That correction. 20% was almost double. What if we did a 57% correction off a move higher? Holy cow. See the number that takes us down to? You know what that is? That's a 618 retrace. That's what that is. Essentially. You may not think we can do it. You may not believe we could do it. Check it out right here, though. That was all part of the same correction. First move down, the retrace, second move down. A, B, C, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was an A, that was a B, and that was the C. And that correction took from right here to right here. And then we didn't make it back higher until right over here. That was a 14-year correction before we made it back higher high again. This this price action right here at the top just scares me that I've seen this before. I'm very cautious. There's no lines in the sand, so to speak. We could go higher high. It's entirely possible. All right. We're to that point in the show where usually I've been doing requests by now. So channel members get the priority. If you're a member of the channel and your name is in green with a star, you get priority access. Please use capital letters. I'll hit as many as I can. XSP is SPX. It's right on the chart. I just basically did that one. So I will hit all the channel members first, then I'll circle back around and pick up all channel subscribers best I can until I get tired. So Mora, stuck at the roadmap line. There is the resistance. It's right here. And support right there. If we can get above, next resistance is the 618 level right here, basically. I'm working on a clean chart today instead of the, right there. 618 zone right in here. So if we bust through those, watch for resistance here. If we can get through that, sets up the upside breakout potential for Mara. I'm going to flip back over to normal charts. And CSX. If you got a question, please use a complete sentence. Please try to avoid using this, that, these, or those, or it. Resistance right here on, turn that off. 3-wave down, move up. I would expect this to retrace potentially some sort of 618, but does it do it now? Or do we get to move on up higher and then retrace? So I can't say for certain which way it is. It's got a long way to go back to the top. So we could come on up to this 618 on the upside. Come back, retest the roadmap line, and then get continuation higher. Really, when you zoom out though, this chart has been going nowhere for 4 years. What makes you think now's the perfect time to get into this one? Just doesn't make me feel good. I'd wait till this was more clear, at least as a pullback to support and supported a breakout. That's me, you know, not trading advice. Lily, looks like we may get the extension. That was a violent move right there. Violent move up, lower high, violent move down, higher low, unclear. Resistance right here at the roadmap line, support down here and down here. If we can break above, we have a downtrend of highs cooking. It's kind of not clear. That one high kind of messes this up a little bit, but that trend lines are the least reliable. It kind of looks like what we got. So resistance right here, if we can get above it, we could go on up to 1,000. Came up shy of that. Double topped here, kind of double topping here. And don't have anything super awesome to say at the moment. UCLO, still likely to reach up to 64. Now, it doesn't preclude it from retracing back down here before we go up there. Up here is the target. How long it takes, hard to say. This was this pretty long trip. Could be a double top, and we could actually, you know, that could be a failed attempt to get up there. Unclear. I would expect 64, but that looks pretty, like it got really spicy really fast, and the party could be, that looks a lot like the bubble pattern, and that took it right back. Then we're going again. Did we take it right back again? We round trip it twice. It's hard to say. If you've not seen the bubble pattern, Google psychology of a market. That's what it looks like. See how we went up and came all the way back down? Then we're doing it again, going up. Could bring it all the way back down again. Even has that little choppy thing there, just like the bubble pattern. Take it up, brought it all the way back down. Took it up again. Almost went up faster the second time. Anyway, moving on. MCD, McDonald's has the, so that 3-wave pattern I was talking about, 1, 2, 3, move up, retrace, move up, retrace, holding higher lows, has a setup to go up to 330 targets. This one has a strong history of doing this. 42 times it's done this in the past. 83% of the time it worked out with a profit factor of 2.3. It's a strong potential. I have a few shares that I bought right back over here. And we're sitting on them, waiting for that pop. 330. MP. Now the average trade, take away 45 days. This average standard deviation 35 days. So 68% of trades will take less than 80 days. 45 plus 35. And that's trading days, not calendar days. There's the resistance on MP. Here's the supports. Right there. I just rolled the chat all the way to the bottom. AAY. Almost the same. Here's the resistance. Here's supports. Under the roadmap line. Watch for a 618 hold. If we can bounce up. If we break below it, maybe indicative we're going below the support. You just draw the fibs. There's the low, there's the high, here's the supports, and there's resistance up here. So for those of you who don't know, 3 standard deviations is covers 99% of the time. So you take the average, add 3 standard deviations. So 45 days, 35, 35, 35, gets you to about 220 days. And I believe that's calendar days total. So if you're doing one of these market roadmap bounces like MCD, 99% of the time you would expect this to be done by 225 days from the date of the start right here. 225 days. That puts it out there a ways though. That's like more than 6 months. So we're looking for 225 days, or 220 days, excuse me. Right about there. So November would be when we expect this to 99% of the time have this wrapped up by November. Could happen anytime between here and here. 1% of the time, who knows how long it could last. That's the way statistics work. So, all right. And lots of other people. And XSP is literally SPX that I spent like 45 minutes talking about. It's the same. Just move the decimal 1 spot. That's literally the same chart. So I spent a huge amount of time talking about that. Hood is hitting the target. Be careful. We could extend it to 76, but it hit the 71.80 target that I've been talking about. The same pattern right there. Entry was back here. Right there. That was the target. Conservative target, aggressive target, 76. Super aggressive target, 89. Prior high sitting there at 84 or 85, whatever it was, 80, 84, 86, 84, 30. I don't know, whatever that high was. Yeah, can't put my finger on it. 85, yeah, 85. So prior high is right at 85. Probably going to be a wall there. Alrighty. Circle back and catch everybody else. Channel members, you're about now like regular subscribers from that one on. And let's see, SBGI. Sinclair. Well, that's a chart going nowhere in a hurry. Been doing nothing for 5 years. Took a little diversion up and came back and just You know, we spiked up, came back to the bottom, and just been hanging out here at the COVID lows. Been doing that for like 18 months. No clear bottom, no clear anything. May go lower. In fact, with a move like that, it's probably going to make some sort of, if it's going to decide to get bullish, it's probably going to make some sort of epic dip down in the single digits and then bounce sharply. It's usually how these bottom out. EBF. Another spectacularly sideways chart. Good grief. I mean, if you just want to buy and hold it, that's a great chart, but it's not going to make you much money except for off the dividend potentially. It's just not going anywhere. Wouldn't expect it to go anywhere. Hadn't gone anywhere for 20 years. DDOG. Unless you know something that they're going to change the world with, that ABF doesn't look like it's going anywhere. DDOG. Coming up into the roadmap line resistance. Been hanging out here for a couple weeks now. First got there here. I would expect it to retrace back in this 618 zone. It's potentially makes one more little squeak higher, then does that. Potentially look like something in there, maybe back down in this vicinity, then pop through, find some resistance here, back test the roadmap line, then pop on through. That'd kind of be the path I would expect this to embark on. It'll look like it may look like it's retesting that right there. DDOG for you, XRX, Xerox. That looks like a company. You know, this reminds me of a company that I looked at once upon a time named Kodak. Zero's not far away. It's not a... We're not looking at a big turnaround story here. It's not like... That's like the bubble pattern of bubble patterns right there. Golly. Epic. It's inventing the machine, it becoming a commodity, and being relegated to nobody using it. Sorry, I don't have much great to say on Xerox. GES. Pushing the limits here of my bullishness. Nice move up, nice retrace. I need this to get continuation higher. Otherwise, this may continue lower, back below that low from back during COVID. As the initial move up, even though it's kind of sloppy, need this to get continuation. Here's the near-term targets, 37.40, and explosive targets potentially on up here like 100. It's got a lot to do to get there, though. Box. Big, nice pop breakout from all this consolidation. Nice, finally moving up out of here. Yeah, this, now the warning here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 could stall it out around 40, and we could see a retrace back down in here before we find the next move up. Box for you, pepperoni. I mean, PepsiCo, Pepperoni Co. Potentially working on a similar measured bounce type situation. Maybe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. If we can turn this back around, get back above the roadmap line, I am going to set an alert right here about 150. Actually going to edit it. If we can pop up above that right there. Nice big potential upside. Something crazy. Yeah, I'd probably say 200 to 250, but it has bigger upside potential there too. So, but if we don't break higher, this could go retest the COVID lows, if not push a little lower. So that's the downside on Pepperoni Co. Mora, where he hits, run, sun run. I got nothing. I mean, it is sitting at the bottom of the bubble pattern. It looks pretty dead. This was the fun. Probably not doing the fun again. They just don't typically do fun twice. Here's another one. Another example. There was the fun. Did a mini fun. Dead. This one did the big fun. Probably never doing big fun again. Smaller fun. Probably doing smaller fun again. May do smaller fun yet again. Can it turn itself around with buying a bunch of Bitcoin? I don't know. Becoming a Bitcoin treasury? Maybe. Maybe not. Another one. Big fun. To the bottom. So be careful on those. Run looks like one of those that may never come back from this again. One shot. Yeah, another one. Looks a lot the same. Looks a lot the same. As we saw, this one looks a lot the same. So watch out for those bubble pattern charts. Burpee. Coming back down. Did not get the breakout before we retraced. So here's the thing to watch. Can we hold on to the roadmap line? If we don't, if we get below here, this is probably going down for a lower low, lower than that. Prior high over here, probably coming down there if we get below that. If we can bounce here, that's still a good target, 550. Is that big money? Yeah, you betcha. That's big money. Big money playing on big tickers with big swings. Lemonade. Stuck in this chop. Got the potential bottom in place. There's the resistance. Well, this is resistance that we're stuck in, but if we can get through it, got to get through that 618 right above it. We can get the close above that 44.50 area. Sets up the potential for 58 on the upside. Unlocks the potential up there. Now, how long? I don't know how long it takes to go from here to here to get the entry. The days I told you before, the 45 average is after it triggers the entry. Plus 35, 1 standard deviation. Plus 35, 2 standard deviations. That's 95% of the time. Plus 35, that's 3 standard deviations. That's 99.7% of the time. So 99% of the time, we should be done up to the target by that time right there. And this works the same like if you jump down time frames and it's a 4-hour bounce. It works 45 4-hour candles, 35, 35, 35. If you jump down to a 1-minute time frame and you see a roadmap bounce like this, get the activation, it's usually wrapped up in 220 minutes, which is like less than 6 hours worth of 1-minute chart. So maybe that helps some people understand. STM stuck at the roadmap line. At resistance, I would expect a retrace. Since with that much consolidation right there, it's been a pretty vicious down. Could go for an extension. Could do an upside down roadmap bounce. That's what I'm always cautious about. That's why I say I want to see it retrace, hold that 618, because if we get through it, it opens the door for the roadmap bounce to be upside down and we get the extension down to that $15 area right there. And UCO is oil, which I already covered. Just covered the underlying USO, unclear. Probably going to reach up and hit the roadmap line at 71. That would be a roughly, if we can get that, it's a 3%. So that'd be 6% on UCO. Looking at 6% upside UCO. Roughly 23. About $1.25 upside for UCO. EAT. Yeah, that one's set up to rally on up to 202. Beautiful. Could come back to the roadmap line at 140, but 202 is the upside. Target PSX to the downside. It's roadmap line bounce. There's your low, there's your high. Support right here. Line in the sand, 786. Target 85, and then 81 below that. Element elimination. How far do we go? If we just do the echo down, which first move down, retrace, next move down, possibly down to 25. Looks pretty vicious. Ugh. Not a big fan of these. Nasty looking charts. It comes from the log mode right there, 25. And sizzle. Beautiful. Not sure what that was up there. Yeah, that's probably going to be looking for a retrace at this point. Not a lot to it here. It did make a lower low after IPO, so it doesn't have to do that again. Move up, retrace, move up, retrace. Let's see. Can I project anything? Potential, if we echo that move off of here, maybe somewhere in this vicinity, 336 to 600. It's kind of wide EWAG right there. All that's doing is wave ones typically, or wave fives are typically nearly the same size as wave ones. So 336 potential. Let's see how that played out. Yeah. It's very not typical proportion there. So atypical. And we have that. That's why that's why my drawings were up there in no man's land. 6-for-1 split. So if this climbs on up here, probably do another split right there. Lulu needs to get moving. Has the potential set up on the chart to do some epic, crazy stuff. Beautiful potential. That's a measured bounce. Went deeper than I would want to see. We've seen that a lot on this correction, where things went deeper or pushed the limits and then turned around and started going for targets. So that's Lulu for you. Kraft Heinz probably going lower. Got a, I don't remember what that floor was. Yeah, non-log mode floor. So the zone bounce, potential bounce zones right there. If we're going to push the limits and still go bullish, resistance right at the roadmap line when we get there, but could lead to a breakdown. Something in the $15, $17 price area. Ketchup don't look too good right now. MP. So if we can take this back on higher, get above that 618, we could go up to 31. STZ. Working on a potential bounce here. Unlike Lulu, this one rejected that area, coming back down. We need to hold. Ideally, I want to see it hold that 618 right there at 151 if we're going to break lower. Break through the roadmap line, break through the downtrend of highs we've had recently. Right there. And set up the upside. Right now, not building a reversal very strongly. Upside potential, pretty big, but not done on the downside yet. Finished. CV. Wow. Wow. Well, that escalated to the downside. That's a weekly roadmap bounce, which can, if we break down below this zone here, can lead to continuation down here. Wow. If we could bounce here, it could set us up to go back higher, but that's not very promising looking. Looks pretty bad. I wouldn't want to be long that. I mean, it's up to you. Shopify. Probably going to get a 618 retrace. Now, we could just break out and go. Has the potential. We got up here, but we didn't clear that prior resistance. We just kind of stopped in it, and we've been consolidating for a couple weeks here. That leads me to believe that we're going to do a retest before we can go higher. And bullish on Shopify. But it may need to visit this before we can visit this. It's back to potential 5 up, but then it needs a retrace. I would expect it to hold in that zone right there so we can get the continuation higher. Excuse me. All right, climb CLNB. One fast retrace. That high. To that low. Resistance going higher right there. We're consolidating under the roadmap line here, which may lead to one more trip back down to lows. So right now we've got 1, 2, 3. That's why I would look for the extension lower. 1, 2, 3. Retrace. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'd look for something bottoming here. If we break back below here. if we can break out above here, we've got resistance right there. If we get above that, there. So that's the up. That's the long and the short of it right there on climb. DK. It's not really been going anywhere. What makes you think that this is done? Like we're all finito when we haven't broken and made any higher low. They don't typically make some big move and then just go to the moon. Not typically what happens. Much more typically, we make some sort of epic low, we come up, retrace, hold a higher low, make a move up, retrace, hold a higher low, and then go. Typically, that's what we see. Prime example. This did a 67%, 68% retrace. Made a move up. Oops, sloppy drawing. Made a move up to that high. Did a 50% retrace. I bought right there. That was before it did a 10-for-1 split. And rode this up. Big drop, move up, retrace, hold, bounce potential. So if you don't think NVIDIA could do some sort of deep retrace, there you go. It's done it once, done it twice, done it another time. How about another time? 89%. Has some epic big retraces. And it might do another one. So, CMC. I became chairman last week, but my name doesn't show up. I don't know. You got to be logged into your YouTube account on channel members. That's you and YouTube. That's not me and YouTube. I have no. I literally don't get even a list of people. It just gives me an account, how many people, and that's about it. No contact information, no nothing. No ability to kick people out, no ability to, there's no control. So it's, I would try maybe unsubscribing and resubscribing to channel membership. Or make sure you logged into your YouTube account that you have that with. Some people, like I have like 6 YouTube accounts. So I have the main channel account that, operates the channel. That's one of the problems I had when I tried to live stream from the hotel back in March when I was doing my in-person event, is that my laptop logged into one of my other YouTube accounts and then tried to put that into the broadcasting software, and it wouldn't let me connect to this channel. Of course, it didn't have authorization to broadcast to this channel. So as another YouTube member, potential, if we can get above that consolidation in here on CMC, we do seem to be finding some resistance here. It could be a roadmap bounce from below, and this could lead to a lower low, 618. Targets down there. How do you find that out? You just take the 2.2, that low, that high, break down below this stuff right here. Sets up the downside right there. I don't usually trade the downside and I don't have statistics on the downside. It works the same way, but the market tends to trend higher over the years. I mean, you look at the S&P 500 for the last 100 years. On the monthly chart, last 100 years, we've gone higher. right? More than 100 years, 100, 150 years almost. Last 150 years, up. Now, sure, we have pullbacks, but the average year, up. 7, depending on whose statistics you're using, 7 to 9% per year. Per year. So why don't I trade to the downside? Because typically there's no real huge prolonged periods of down. Like here, you got to adjust your trading. Potentially here, you got to adjust your trading, especially if we're going to take a little swift correction. But then we'll be back on, game on to going higher again after that plays out. How many of us are still here, though? That's the question. How many of us can survive another 14-year correction? We did like a 14-year here, too. Did a 14-year here. Do another 14, maybe a 20, maybe 25. All right. Lyft and Uber. These have an existential threat to them right now. That's a squeeze play right there. So these, very difficult. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9. They can do 9. But is this number 1 or is this number 1? I don't know if that's number 1 or if this is number 1. It's supposed to be a question mark, not a 2. Question mark. So I don't know if that was the one or if this is the one, but they can do this indefinitely here. Now, if we break down, $6. If we break out, potentially up to $24. But the likelihood, the most likely scenario, is to stay in that range for now. Yeah, that's what I expect on Live. Uber, been a little more bullish, but existential, say that word, existential threat to their business model coming up from Salah. All right, CMG. Potential that this bottomed out back here. First move up, retrace, sloppy, hasn't hit the roadmap line yet. Further upside at 60. Probably actually slightly different than 60. Slightly different, pretty much the same. Clean these up just a hair. Yeah. So potential to have bottomed, but also still got meat left on the downside juice here for 41. And if we can bounce here, could kick off a nice big fat move up. Could last out well into the late 2020s, maybe even the 2030s. Right there. And already did hood so far. Sitting at this resistance here. We've got the support right there. We got the resistance right here. Stuck in between until we can break out or we break back down. What's the clarity? It's kind of a coin flip. I mean, it has the setup. This is not a clean 3-wave down. That's a 5 down. Not a clean 3-wave up. Odds would be with us that we go down. First move down, repeated. We see that across most of the Mag 7 stuff. So we may see a retest of that support that where we hung out down there at $7. Unfortunately. It's SoFi for you. Mew. Finally trying to move. So was that the dip? Like when I talk about these needing a dip like this, consolidated, did that dip, came ripping back up, looking spicy, but we got to break back up through this top of this zone, then the 618, which is not in the right place because it doesn't go all the way down to the bottom. So can we break out? I've actually got my alert sitting up here at 115 above these tops right here. If we do, the upside potential on this thing pretty massive. I would say near term, probably 180 to 200. Bigger picture, maybe up here to 375. Maybe even up to 570, 560. The 375 would be a good conservative target. This is a move up, retrace, went a little deep, but measured bounce, which sets us up for that potential up there. Keep moving fibs. Should pull that down to the low. Yeah. This is the most likely. I don't want to sugarcoat it. This is the most likely target, 200. Right there. If we can break out, 200. Coherence. So we did a roughly 5 down, which sloppy. Retrace. Holding that 618 zone. Grinding, grinding, grinding. First move down, next move down. That's what that looks like to me. How do I know the difference between this and one that's a roadmap bounce? So this didn't respect that roadmap line at all. Came back up, roadmap line, and the 618 the same place. Probably likely to get continuation lower. It could come up shy of getting to the full equalized target. Could just stop right at the inverted roadmap line. Bounce right there. But it may grind in here for a little while before it actually starts doing something more bullish. Now, the flip side is we actually make a nice pop and get continuation right up here. And that's the flip side of this. And that is a absolute huge range. Since we're at 80 right now, talking about 40, that's a 50% downside. And we're talking about 130 on the upside. That's like 60-ish% upside. 50-ish% downside. Absolutely huge range. Hal the Burton. How low can she go? I mean, COVID, we were in the single digits. It's like a 1, 2, 3, 4, kind of a quadruple top. I would expect this to come back down here in an attempt to bounce. Shit's in the vicinity of that. Gosh, I don't know. I mean, maybe we can find a bottom higher, but the proportions are all weird on this one. Yeah, those proportions look better, but I don't know. Three is not the strongest wave, so that may just be a corrective move up, and we go actually lower than we went in COVID. I don't know. Maybe oil's done. Maybe oil's never coming back. Possible. Move down, retrace, hanging out right here. This is Bitcoin Treasury, if I remember correctly. Has a large gap down. That will be resistance. Yeah. Core Scientific hold about 977 Bitcoins. Worth 3% of their market cap. It's not very much. It's not of a lot of effect by Bitcoin. Be careful here. So only 3% of what their market cap is Bitcoin. Net income, very negative. No earnings. That looks like a dangerous thing to mess with. Yeah. Be very careful. It's kind of like this one. The debt just keeps climbing. This is like the infinite money hack. They're trying to do this. I mean, there's like no cash flow, no. The debt just keeps climbing. You're just taking debt and wrapping it back into bonds that are basically supported with Bitcoin. I don't know. It could work, but it's dangerous. You gotta have somebody that's like steadfast gonna do it. You know, these guys haven't ramped up their debt. GME sitting on tons of cash. Trying to remember the other one. Yeah, so MSTR is like the poster child for doing this. It's the only real successful people at it. You look at, they're the big dog here with 580,000 Bitcoins. They're trying to hit 1 million by the end of this year. 60% of their market cap is the value of their Bitcoin. 105% of their market cap is on Mara, which they're trying to do that now too. So they're actually 852% of their market cap is for CP. It's a whole different game right there. Anyway, moving on. Moving on. Core Weave. Let's see. RWV. There we go. Yeah. Where's the top? Yeah, that's a good question. Bubble pattern. How high does it go? Used to have FOMO in this stuff. Infinite money hack situation. So maybe these guys are going to be, I mean, they're sophisticated AI computing, blah, blah, blah. Intelligence that drives innovation. Sounds like the perfect mix of stuff that could be a bubble. When does the bubble pop? Yeah, we can keep being crazy. That number comes here, probably 243. If we hit that, probably do a little chop. And we can see it all over but the crying. Dangerous stuff. I don't mess with these, so it's best if you just have no FOMO. Like if you got into it, great. If you are looking for an exit, my suggestion to you, if you're already in it, you've been riding it up, you're like, I got so much, that the money is ridiculous. Tell other people, if you start telling other people, like, I've got this investment, and then you hear some other person mention it, you should get out. All right? Some other person that's not a stock picker person that talks about this stuff, get out. If you start dreaming about what you're going to buy with the money, get out. At least take your, a healthy profit in your initial investment out, let the rest ride. If we top out and get some chop and you're like, oh, you start thinking we just need to cool off, get ready to break down. I've already pulled up countless of these that have done this same pattern over and over. It's just another one that's on the upswing. It'll be on a downswing. Signet Jewelers. I really wonder, like, where is the popularity from this come from? Where has this hasn't done anything for 4 years, really. I mean, except be volatile. And really, you could go back even further. Did kind of a bubbly pattern. It's not exactly been the poster child for trending. I'm a trend pullback continuation trader, and this is not the kind of stuff I look for. Charts that just kind of go sideways aren't really where I'm looking to make money. Looking for something like this baby. That's trending with a pullback and a continuation. But something like SIG, it's just chopping. Could you make money on the chop? Sure, but be very careful. We took back that gap and closed the day red. If we don't stick that, if we get back below here, it's probably going back down to the 60 area pretty quickly. Coin rejected the first attempt to break through at 618. Support right there. If we can get back up through, upside target right up here around 380, 379, 380. Kava. I thought that was going to hold there, but it looks like we're going to push it on down for another low. Could be a roadmap bounce. The way it rejected pretty hard. Looks like we're going to go down for another low. I was optimistic, but not looking good. Well, what it's looking for good for is potential continuation down in this area right here. Still hadn't found a bottom. That's nice 3-wave down, but bounced up, hit that continuation lower. Now if we can hold, break back through the roadmap line, starts tipping the odds. Big upside potential. I'm optimistic we're going to bounce, but the recent price action suggests that maybe we're not done on the downside. It's the reality of the situation versus the potential of the situation. KBR looks like we bounced off the roadmap line, and reality of the situation, potentially not down on the downside. THO, very similar. Did not reach the roadmap line. Potential to retrace. MDXG. Retrace the roadmap line. Potential to go lower. I didn't even have to draw. I didn't even have to change. eBay. Oh, hit the upside target. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Next resistance, 77. Beautiful. There was the entry back here. That was the target. Going for extensions. Watch for resistance. We could potentially make it up here. It's unlikely. It's like this one's 75%. This one's 70%. This is 30% or 35%. This drops down to like 25%. Like biggest drop is between here and the likelihood we get extensions. So these levels highly likely to get hit. This level drops off significantly. This level, it's unlikely we make it that high without retracing all the way back down to the roadmap line. That's potential what we might see. And, you know, it's potential we keep climbing like we saw on Core Weave, but usually less than 1% of stuff will just go ripping and never look back. So out of 100 trades you might take, less than one of them would do that, and it may be closer to 1 in 1,000 that would do that. And that's it. Made it to the bottom. Caught up with everybody. Thanks for coming, everybody. I'll be back in the morning. Same bad time, same bad channel. 9:15. We'll do it all over again. Hunting for what's moving, like we do every morning. Going through the morning list. Hunting up some movers, shakers, looking for opportunities. This was a big opportunity for the day. This morning, looking for that baby 2150 right there. It's the new ticker for Barrick Mining. B right there. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you again in the morning.